Hi, my name is Mary Cottrell, and today I will be talking about peer coaching as a professional development model for the inquiry training method of teaching. The inquiry training method of teaching is personally one of my favorites and something that I plan to incorporate into my own classroom this next year. And one of those reasons why is that it produces active learners. With the inquiry training method, students aren't just sitting in their seats listening to teachers talk. They are actually up and thinking for themselves and applying their own background knowledge and their own scientific method to their learning. They also learn to organize and evaluate the information um, that they find themselves, which is very important to their learning. Another benefit of the inquiry training method is that the students also learn to develop and test their hypotheses, which again is another very important part of learning, especially by trial and error. They get to see what works and what doesn't, and they get to actually, create solid questions to test. Another benefit of the inquiry training method is that it actually develops the learner's metacognitive awareness. So they are actually aware of their own thoughts and feelings as they go through this process, which once again is very important to the learning process, but it's also important to their social learning process as well, and important in being able to understand how to act appropriately in these problem solving situations in the classroom and eventually in real life. Another benefit to inquiry training model is they learn to evaluate their own inquiry, which is incredibly important, especially if you're cultivating that growth mindset with your students, as I like to do. They learn what works, what doesn't work, and they learn to evaluate, well, did I actually create a good question, or do I need to change that? What do I need to tweak next time? And really, they get to know themselves and know what they need to work on. One of my favorite quotes from Benjamin Franklin goes along with the inquiry training method, and it says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." And I think that's one of the most important reasons why I love the inquiry training method and would like to incorporate it into a professional development opportunity, is because involving learners is really important to their own knowledge process. I chose peer coaching as the method to implement inquiry training into a classroom. And here are some of the reasons why. The first reason why is because it is so easy to actually take that peer coaching and implement an information from a workshop or professional development day, or even something that you just see on Pinterest or the internet. It's just really easy to take that idea and work together with someone to implement it into your own classroom. Another reason why it's beneficial is because it's confidential. You don't have to work with your entire building on something. You can only work one-on-one, or maybe with a couple of other people that you trust and that you really can confide in. And that's important whenever you're learning, in the learning process, that you trust the person who's helping you learn. Another reason why it's beneficial is that it supports the learner, and it gives them expertise from another teacher who's taught this method for a really long time, and can help them through their journey. Another reason why it's beneficial is that there's an observation piece that I find crucial. I always try to have someone observe me, even though I'm no longer in a mentoring program, a couple of times a year, besides my principal, of course, just because I'd like to get some outside feedback. And that's why this peer coaching is really important, is because there's an observation piece in where the teacher learner gets to hear some feedback from the coach. And another reason why it's so beneficial is that both the coach and the teacher learner grow professionally. It's not, both people are very active, and the coach can also be, trying something in their own classroom as they're helping the teacher learner. They could also, be co-teaching together, which is kind of a cool potential piece of this peer coaching. So, in order to implement the inquiry training method into a classroom, the peer coaching cycle includes several different steps. And the first step is that the coach needs to assess the teacher's skill and readiness level. The coach's main goal is to really help their colleague develop whatever they're trying to implement in their own classroom. In this case, it would be the inquiry training method. So they really need to go into their classroom with an open mind and look at the teacher and assess, okay, what do we need to start with? Do we need to go all the way back to the basics of inquiry training? How do we need to implement this into their classroom? And it's also important during that assessment period that the coach and the teacher learner clarify the goals that the teacher learner has for the classroom, as well as, kind of identify what are some things that are going to mean that this has been a successful coaching cycle. The second step in peer coaching is the training step, specifically in the inquiry training method. And this is a really important step because in a coaching cycle, you need to make sure that the person that you're helping is really ready to implement this into their classroom. They've thought about all the potential issues, all of the potential benefits, and they've really thought through all the steps, what they're going to say, how they're going to implement it, and how to situate it in their own classroom. And then the third and last step of the peer coaching cycle is a classroom observation piece. Like I said before, this is a really important piece to the peer coaching cycle because it just provides so much information for not only the coach, but the teacher learner as well. The first thing that the observation does is that it confirms implementation. You just want to make sure that the coach just wants to make sure that the teacher learner has actually implemented the inquiry method into their own classroom and done it well. And the second piece is feedback. What can the teacher learner do better? What are some things that they are doing so well on? And then kind of, maybe take some next steps. What can they do next in order to further the inquiry method into their own classroom? And not only that, but there's a great reflection part to this observation where it's the coach as well as the teacher learner get to reflect on both of their performances as a coach and as a learner, and kind of just become aware of themselves and how they're doing. So thank you for listening to my presentation. Here is my works cited if you'd like to learn more about the inquiry training or peer coaching method. Thank you.